Hare Krishna, welcome everybody. This is Krishna Dasa. So today we are going to cover Shlokas 8.11 to 8.18. Before we begin, I will say the prayers to Guru and God. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakhe Chakshurum Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. I'll also play the Guru Mantra.
Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Hare Krishna. So I will start playing the Shlokas. Please be ready. And I shared the translations with all of you. So if you can look at that, it will be uniform for everybody. Okay. So I'll start playing.
Yadaksharam vedavido vadanti Vishanti yadyatayo vitaragaha Yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti Tatte padam sangrahena pravakshe Sarvadvarani samyamya manohridi niludhya cha Modhyadhayatmanah pranamaasthito yogadharanam Om ityekaksharam brahma vyaharan mamanusmaran Yah prayati tyajandeham sayati paramam gatim Ananyacheta satatam yomam smarati nityashah Tasyaham sulabhah partha nityayuktasya yoginah Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayamashashvatam Napnuvanti mahatmanah samsiddhim paramangataah Abrahma bhuvana lokah punaravartinorjuna Mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate Sahasrayuga paryantam maharyad brahmano viduhu Ratrim yuga sahasrantam teho ratra vidocanaha Avyaktadyактayah sarvah prabhavantyah ragame Ratragame pradhiyante tatraivavyakta sanyake.
So who is reading the translations?
Yes, me too.
Okay.
So 8.11, scholars of the Vedas describe him as the imperishable supreme, ascetics, free from desires, practicing celibacy, aim to merge into the reality. This path to extend the ultimate goal, I shall succinctly explain to you. 8.12, by restraining all the bodily gets, focusing the mind in the heart region, directing the prana, that is life breath, to the crown of the head, one establishes oneself in the steadfast concentration of yoga. 8.13, departing the body with the mind fixed on me, the Supreme Personality, and uttering the sacred syllable Om, one achieves the supreme goal. 8.14, O Partha, I am easily accessible to those yogis who continuously engage in exclusive devotion to me. Their minds focus unwaveringly upon me. 8.15, the great souls who reach me do not reincarnate into this transient and sorrowful world, for they have realized the highest state of perfection. 8.16 From the lowest to the highest realms, including Brahma's abode, beings the subject to rebirth, O Arjuna. However, O son of Kunti, upon reaching my divine abode, one gets freedom from the cycle of birth and death. 8.17 A day of Brahma spans 1,000 cycles of the 4 ages, and so does his night. Those who understand this truth grasp the essence of cosmic time and its cycles. 8.18 With the dawn of Brahma's day, all beings manifest from the unmanifest, and at the onset of his night, they dissolve back into it, returning to the primal unmanifest state. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So we have a lot of profound practical tips and insights in today's session also. So in the last session, we spoke about Antakale and how it is important for us to remember Krishna. So what does Krishna say? Do you remember? What did Krishna say we need to do so that we can remember him during Antakale? Let's see.
You have to constantly remember him and practicing him, and then we have to follow the yeah.
Okay, the right answer. Any other answers?
And the bhakti should be it should not be a Shlokas one. It should be from your heart, and the bhava with the full I am. It's no I. That's it.
Correct.
Just
correct.
And full surrender. Full surrender. Full surrender.
Okay, surrender, bhakti bhava. Okay, what else?
Realizing that he is timeless. He is the oldest being on this planet. Those 8 points.
Very true. All right answers. There is one more aspect. Krishna used one word.
Ananya Chintan.
Correct. So and how do we get Ananya Chintan? Do you remember? So you're all there. You're all on the right track. So Krishna said that Ananya Chintan, you need abhyasa. Practice. So that is what Krishna said. Krishna said, you will have to practice it. Like one day it will come, it may come one day. Or 1 week you may feel devotional and all of that. But if you have to remember me during your Antakale, you have to practice. So abhyasa was very important. This is what Krishna said. So everything that Lakshmiji said is also correct. That bhava should be there, that surrender. But then it cannot be just like 1 day or 1 week or 1 month or 1 season. It has to be practiced continuously. Okay. So, but this kind of practice can be difficult, correct? Because many times we get distracted. Sometimes we get frustrated. Why? Because a lot of us, we have a problem. The problem is we don't feel the same way every day. Every day is not the same. So many times what happens is we get bothered by negative thoughts. We get bothered by doubts. It happens to everybody. So how do we handle that? So this is how Krishna is starting this set of shlokas, and he is trying to teach us. Very, very practical lessons are here. So I want to share a secret with you all. The secret is, it's called momentum of thought. Students who attended the previous batch, probably they have a vague memory of discussing this. Yeah, so this is called momentum of thought. I'm sure most of you know what momentum means. Can one of you tell me what does momentum mean? Who can say momentum?
I will try.
Continued.
I'm looking for somebody who has studied momentum in school or college. Sulataji wants to say yes.
The force or strength gained by the object when it is moving. Momentum is mass into velocity.
Excellent. Excellent. Sulataji has this astute memory. Like, she remembers everything that we study. Awesome. Correct. So in very simple words, that's what it is. It is the strength or force that something has when it is moving. We can call it mass into velocity. There are different ways to explain, but this is the simplest way. So what that actually means, it means that something continues to grow stronger or fast as time goes by. As it gets faster, it gets stronger. So for example, a lot of us like cricket. We are all in India, so we are big fans of cricket. That leather ball, when it is in the hand of the bowler, it doesn't seem dangerous. But when it leaves the bowler's hand at like 90 kilometers an hour, it becomes lethal. The same ball. What made it lethal is this momentum. As it kept traveling faster and faster, it gathered more and more momentum. So by the time it reaches the batsman, it's really lethal. If the batsman doesn't handle it properly, he can get seriously injured. Why we are discussing that here, that concept? Because our thoughts, they also have momentum. Very, very important, very beautiful aspect of it. So the thoughts, they are the currents that steer the ship of our being, and they also have momentum. Now that momentum can either take us to the shores of peace, or they can take us towards storms and chaos. See, it's so hard to handle that ball when it is moving that fast, correct? Just like that, once your thoughts have gathered momentum, then it's very hard to handle your thoughts. It's very hard to then control or direct your thoughts. So you have to understand this mechanism, because this one understanding itself can profoundly transform our lives if we can just understand this and implement it in our lives. So what that means is, our thoughts, they are like a snowball running down a hill. So they will attract similar thoughts. They will grow larger. They'll keep gathering more and more momentum. They'll keep getting more and more forceful. So if you have positive thoughts, they will keep gathering more positive thoughts, and that will have a positive momentum. I should not say positive momentum. There is no such thing as negative or positive momentum. It's a momentum of positive thoughts. And vice versa. If we start spending too much time on fear, despair, anxiety, jealousy, self-pity, all these thoughts, if we spend enough time, they will gather momentum. And then some days you will catch yourself. Some days you will say, I'm feeling sad, but I don't remember why. It happens to people, I'm just not feeling up to the mark. What does it mean? They don't even know why. Because it's the momentum. You are feeling the ball when it hits you, but the ball has been traveling for a while. And you are feeling it only when it hit you. But that is not when the ball was, in existence. The ball has been in existence for a while. Just like that, our thoughts. So if we understand this, then we can transform ourselves. So the key, what is the key? Why we are discussing this? It is not just a fact. The key is, we all have the power to influence the momentum. We don't have a power to change this fact that a thought will gain momentum. That we cannot change. A thought is going to gain momentum. But we have the power to influence this momentum and steer it in the direction that is helpful to us. That is the lesson we are going to learn here. So how do we make sure that our thoughts have positive momentum? See, that is what we want to do. Thoughts, you cannot stop. Momentum, you cannot stop. But can you make those thoughts gather positive momentum? Yes. That we can do. We can make sure that we use this to our advantage. That's what we are going to learn here. How do we do that? How do we make sure that we have only positive thoughts and have that positive momentum? There are a few tips. First one is called Viveka. Viveka is awareness. In other words, are you mindful? Are you even aware of your own thoughts? How many of us are aware? Because it's like a machine, it's like a million thoughts running in our mind. We are not even aware of what is going on there. No, that should not be there. You should be able to be very aware. So that ties us to the first commandment, the inner saboteur. Remember? So we said that we have to catch that inner saboteur. But how will you catch a saboteur if you are not even aware of its existence? So be more mindful. This is what Krishna has said earlier. Second, detachment and replacement, vairagya and bhakti. This also we discussed earlier. We said that bhakti is not about chodna. Bhakti is about jodna. So it is not about leaving. It is not about giving away. It is about substituting. It is about attaching. What does that mean? First, be mindful. When you are mindful, you are able to catch a thought. You can catch a thought that is not serving you. You say, oh, this thought is like a thought of anxiety. This thought is just a thought of doubt, thought of fear. Once you caught the thought, replace it. Replace it with, yes, I have a problem, but, my God is stronger than my problem, or my God is bigger than my problem. My faith is stronger than my fear. So these kind of thoughts, you replace that with those thoughts. Third is attitude of gratitude. Very important. Extremely important. This is one of the 6 steps of surrender, if you remember. Yes, now I think a few of you remember the 6 steps of surrender. One of those steps was gratitude. And see where all it helps us. Because when you are in the attitude of gratitude, because gratitude helps us be positive. Instead of saying, I have less, say that I have. And everywhere you see, you have to make a note of what all you already have and feel grateful for that. And that will be a huge transformative experience. And the fourth, satsanga, positive association. So if you connect with other devotees, do like what we are doing now. We are all seeing each other. We are all in a session. So we are all studying the similar things. We are all in the similar mindset. It's having a profound impact on each one of us. We don't realize it, but it is. It's that collective consciousness which is working right now. It is helping purify us. It's helping imbue a lot of positivity into us. So keep up the satsang. Avoid kusang. And always try to maintain and spend more time with satsang. So these are the things, if we do, we will be able to influence that momentum of thought, and it will work in your favor. That is what we are trying to learn here. Once you understand that, then there is no stopping, because you are using the force of nature in your favor. That's what we are trying to understand here. See, there is another beautiful aspect which I want to bring out here. There is a ripple effect, because the thoughts that we have, the momentum of thought that we have, it's not impacting just us. It's impacting those around us also. There is a very beautiful song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. I don't know if you have heard that song. It's one of my favorite songs. Don't worry, be happy. So one of the sentences is, when you are sad, you bring everybody down. So if you are sitting in a group and you are sad and sulking, and it has an impact on the people around you, and vice versa. If you are able to maintain a positive thought, if you are able to have that momentum in a positive way, unknowingly or knowingly, you are helping people around you. Maybe somebody is in doubt, but you are full of faith, and your faith will rub on them, and they will feel better. In other words, this positive thoughts and learning how to cultivate a momentum of positive thought lands up helping not just you but also those around you. So it is a lot of good karma that you are generating. Just imagine, just by managing your thought, just by becoming positive, you are generating so much good karma. Beautiful. So you should all do that. So is there a technique for this? There is one technique that I would like to talk about here. So I took it from a author called Abraham Hicks. This person has spoken a lot about law of attraction and all of that. So this author has given this particular technique. They said that when you think of something for 17 seconds, so this has been kind of based on a lot of studies. They have studied a lot of people. And they said when you think of something for 17 seconds, it gathers enough momentum to continue that thought. In other words, for 17 seconds, if you continuously think of something positive, then you don't have to keep thinking. Now the momentum has gathered, and without you putting in efforts, there will be positive thoughts going in your mind. And vice versa. It's okay. Everybody feels some kind of anxiety, some kind of fears. Everybody feels that's okay, but catch it. Don't be in that mode for more than 17 seconds, because if you are in that thought for more than 17 seconds, it also gains momentum. Then it becomes a big gargantum effort to kind of pull it back. So this is so simple. So how to make use of it? In the morning when you get up, the first thought, let it be the thought of gratitude. Sadhguru says, in the morning, when you open your eyes, touch here, see if you are breathing. Feel grateful. Look to your side. Your wife, your mother, your father, your son, your daughter, whoever. Do you see them? Keep your hands. Are they also breathing? Feel grateful. There is so much to feel grateful right when you wake up. And try to be in that thought for just 17 seconds. Now, how hard is it? Now, if you can do just that, you wake up, start with a positive thought, maintain that thought just for 17 seconds. Don't touch your phone, because what we do, as soon as we get up, the phone is in our hand. So give it a little bit of pause. For 17 seconds, focus on the positive thought, and it makes it easier for you to remain positive rest of the day. Not that hard, right? Try it. If you can try it, if you can practice it, I think it will be one of the most transformative exercises you can do in your lives. And I can tell you out of my own personal experience, some days I get up in the morning and I'm worried about that one escalation that's going on in my office, because I had a SEV 2 ticket last night and I've been thinking about it, and I don't even realize that I'm in that mindset, because when I go to office, my colleagues tell me, dude, what's bothering you? I'm like, how do you know something is bothering me? And they say, it's written on your face, dude. Like, you look pissed, you look bugged. So I don't even realize. But that is how I started my day. And it has gathered momentum of thought. And by the time I'm on my way to office, I'm full of that. So let us not do that. Let us consciously, mindfully catch our thought. The first part of the morning, let it be positive. And vice versa. Whenever throughout the day you catch yourself in a negative thought, break it before it reaches 17 seconds. Replace it with some positive thought before it reaches 17 seconds. Even this much if we can practice, see, you will all feel so transformed. The next topic I can quickly cover is about Mishra-bhakti and pure bhakti that Krishna talks about. Mishra basically means mixed. When you mix anything with anything, it's called Mishra. So if you are mixing bhakti with something, it is Mishra-bhakti. For example, yoga, regular Ashtanga yoga, if you mix it with bhakti, it is called yoga-mishra-bhakti. So in verses 8.11 to 8.13, Shri Krishna is explaining in brief. Krishna says, I am going to explain in brief, Sangrahena, how to reach the Supreme through yoga-mishra-bhakti. Now, why is he explaining in brief? Why is it Sangrahena? Because Krishna says that this path of yoga-mishra-bhakti is very difficult and it is not suitable for everybody. Why? Because this path is designed to reach the nirguna aspect of Brahma. The formless, attributeless aspect, it is possible. You can reach that form, but Krishna is saying it is difficult. That is why he is not going to spend too much time, but he wants us to have that knowledge as well, so that we can later on compare that with pure bhakti and understand, oh, this pure bhakti is so much simpler and easier. So he wants us to have that complete knowledge. So that's why Sangrahena, in brief, is going to explain the yoga-mishra-bhakti. As Krishna says, it is not easy. It is very strict. You have to follow a lot of principles. And for example, in this path, you have to be a celibate. No, you have to conserve your sexual energy. Very, very important. That is the only way to succeed in this path. So Krishna had previously also detailed this in verse 6.14. Ashaji, you want to read 6.14?
Hare Krishna. 6.14 Prashantatma vigatabhir brahmachari vrate sthitah manas sanyamya machitto yukta asita matparaha. One should hold one's body, neck, head erect in the straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So as you can see, Krishna has called out the need to maintain celibacy. So that is where he has said, this is how you practice that yoga-mishra-bhakti. Okay. Because there's a science behind that. When you conserve your sex energy, then it is prana, basically, prana only. And this energy, then you are able to channelize. They call it transmuting. So they channelize that and transmute that into spiritual energy. So when you hear of terms like Kundalini and all of that, they all sound fancy, but it's not just fun. You have to handle it very carefully, and if you want to make sure that they really work well for you, then you have to use these kind of principles that Krishna is talking about. Now, Krishna is also using the word yoga balena, means by the power of yoga. That word is very significant because without practice, which is what Krishna says, abhyasa, you cannot reach that state. At the time of death, then it's not going to help you. So, and Krishna says, apart from celibacy, if you want to practice and progress on this path, then you have to also close all the doors of sense enjoyment. That is what is called as pratyahara, where you are withdrawing all your senses from your sense objects. So in chapter 2, Krishna had spoken about how a tortoise withdraws all its limbs. Do you remember? He gave the example of a tortoise. So that was 2.58. Maybe Ashaji can read that also.
Yada samharate chayam urmonganiva sarvashah indriyani indriyartebhya tasya pragya pratisthita. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. It's really nice that you read these shlokas so beautifully. So Shri Krishna is using the word sarva dvarani sanyamya, which means guarding the gates of the body, and hridi nirudhya, which means locking the mind in the heart. So he's saying that by controlling the passage that enter the body, you can lock the mind in the heart, restricting the senses and directing the mind towards God. And then with complete focus, we should aim for yoga dharanam, which means uniting the consciousness with God. You can see how technical it is getting. And that is why Krishna said, I'm going to explain only in brief, because it is technical and it is difficult. However, you have the freedom to follow that path. That is what Krishna is saying. If you really want to follow that path, go ahead, follow it. But what he's trying to explain, because it is part of Bhakti Yoga, these chapters are part of Bhakti Yoga. What he's saying is, Arjuna, I will tell you in brief how that works, so that you get a good idea and you understand how difficult it is, and then you can compare it with the path of pure bhakti that I am explaining, and you will yourself realize how easier that pure bhakti is. And then you can make a conscious choice, not just because I told you go and do pure bhakti, but because I've given you all the knowledge. You can yourself compare, contrast, and make a conscious choice and go and opt for pure bhakti. That is Krishna's whole philosophy. I would also like to quickly touch upon the sacred Om, because that is also part of Krishna's teachings here. So, in Vedic knowledge, it is said that the sound of Om is not different from Krishna. So, the frequency of Om is the frequency of Krishna. So, when we attain total inner calmness, it is said that we will automatically start vibrating at the frequency of Om. That is how it is documented. And that is the state of yoga dharanam that Krishna talks about. Okay, and so Krishna says, once you are in that frequency, if you are in that state of yoga dharanam, then you will automatically reach the ultimate goal of uniting with Supreme God. So needless to say, this practice is not easy in this Kali Yuga, and yoga, bhakti yoga is much more easier, but it helps. So you cannot say that I will just sit and do Om a million times and get into the state of yoga dharana. In Kali Yuga, that is extremely difficult. But can you use that Om to help in your practice of Bhakti Yoga? Yes, that you can do. Because what does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says? Harer Nama. That is what you need to do. You need to chant. But when you chant, if you chant it with mindfulness, if you chant it with full consciousness on why you are doing it, what is the power of it, then it has a more impact on you and helps you stay more consistent with that practice. And Om is very purifying, so don't do it as a independent. Don't try to be a yogi just by saying Om, but understand that Om has a purifying effect on us, calming effect on us. So if you understand how to chant Om, it will help you in other devotional practices that you do. The only thing I want to emphasize here is Om itself is consisting of 3 parts, A, U and So, but you don't say Aum, it is still Om only, but that Om is composed of these 3 elements, A, U and So, A starts from the base of your navel. By the time you go to U, it crosses your heart and it culminates in your throat. And when you say that is ends in your lips. So when you say Om, it has to be that complete. Don't just say Om from your tip of your tongue. Don't just say Om from your throat. When you say Om, it has to be complete. It has to start from the navel and it has to go all the way to the throat and end in your tip of. If you can do that, then you are saying Om the right way. Okay, that is the only thing I want to explain. And later on, if you are interested, I can share some Om chanting audio where the Om has been chanted the right way, and you can follow it and you can meditate along with it. So Patanjali has also spoken about Om in his Yoga Sutras. So he has said 3 things about Om. One is Tad Japaha, which is chanting, Tad Artha, understanding the meaning, and Bhavanam, with feeling. So doing, understanding meaning, and with feeling. When we have these 3, that makes it very effective. That is what Patanjali has also said. So I will try to not go too much into the technicalities. And all I want to tell you is these 3 aspects that Patanjali has called out of japa, continuous chanting, tadartha, understanding the meaning, and bhavanam, with the right bhava. That is how you are supposed to chant even the Mahamantra. It can be Om Namo Narayanaya, it can be Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, but do it with these three aspects. And then, so now we again switch back to Bhakti, pure Bhakti. So Krishna has given briefly the yoga-mishra-bhakti, he has given us a glimpse, and then we switch back to pure Bhakti. And for pure Bhakti, Krishna is saying, Ananya Chetaha Satatam Ya Mam Smarati. So he's saying, the devotees, you desire nothing but me. And it is Ananya. So you see this word, it will keep repeating in Bhakti Yoga all the time. Ananya. Very, very important. Ananya Chetaha, without deviation of the mind. Satatam, always. Yaha means who? Mam means me. Smarati, remembers. So without deviation of the mind, always who remembers me. That is all. Okay. Very simple. Extremely simple, right? Yeah. So that is why Krishna said, pure bhakti is very simple. Okay. And we also discussed various activities in chapter 7 for practicing pure bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. So these are the top three. Shravanam, Kirtanam and Smaranam. Listening about God, singing His praise, thinking about God. You know, the most powerful and beautiful thing that Krishna has said is, when you practice Ananya Chintan, what does that mean? It means you are in a state where you cannot forget the Lord even for a moment. Krishna says, now pay attention. This is very beautiful. So Krishna says, once you reach that state, a state where you think you cannot forget Krishna for even a moment, then Krishna says, then you get into the situation where Krishna cannot stop thinking about you even for a moment. You know? So powerful, so beautiful. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that is what we studied earlier, the story of Ambarisha Maharaj. So they said that Krishna sent the Sudarshan Chakra to protect Ambarisha Maharaj. But what that actually means is, Krishna is saying, I am constantly now remembering you also. I am constantly thinking about you also. And there is my constant protection on you, which is such a powerful, elevated state to be in. And all we need to get into that state is, we constantly remember Krishna. Fair enough? Okay. So this whole concept of Shravanam is explained beautifully in Srimad Bhagavatam. So you may remember we spoke about the story of Prahlad. And so the power of Prahlada was when they put Prahlada in the group of demon kids, Asura kids, he was transforming them into devotees. You know, they thought they will make Prahlada forget his devotion, but the opposite happened. You know, Prahlada made them devotees. So that is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Ashaji, do you have that also with you?
Yes.
You have it? Okay. Chapter 5, verse 23 and 24. You want to read that?
Yes. Shri Prahlada Uvacha Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoh Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu Bhaktischa Navalakshana Kriyeta Bhagavatyatha Tanmanneti Tanmuttamam. Prahlad Maharaj says, the 9 true ways to worship God involves listening to and speaking about Lord Vishnu's divine names, forms, qualities, and activities, keeping Him in mind, serving Him closely, worshipping Him respectfully with various offerings, praying to Him, dedicating to yourself to serving Him, thinking of Him as your closest friend, and committing everything to Him, meaning serving Him with your actions, thoughts, and speech. Someone who dedicates their life to Krishna through these practices is the most enlightened person because they have gained complete understanding. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So beautiful, right? And the importance of Smaranam has been beautifully explained by Krishna in the 7th verse of this chapter. So if you go back and look at 8.7, you will see one of the statements Krishna has made there is Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara Yuddhacha. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. So, devotion in action. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Okay. So, why does Krishna put us through so much pain and misery in the material world? See, we are all talking about liberation and uniting with Krishna. Why? Why do we want to get liberated? Why do we want to unite with Krishna? Because the material world has a lot of pain. Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Full of pain in the material world. Then the question comes, why? Why does Krishna put us through so much pain in the material world? Now, Swami Mukundananda gives a beautiful analogy. He says, this material world is like a prison. It's like a correctional facility. Now, how can you complain that the prison is not luxurious? How can you complain that, oh, the prison is not very comfortable? Because you are not meant to be in the prison all the time. You are supposed to get out of the prison. You are supposed to gain freedom. Imagine if the prison was extremely comfortable, you will never want freedom. Right? So that is the whole idea. The idea is, because the material world has pains, we are able to understand that we are not free, we are bound, we are in bondage, and we are supposed to gain liberation and freedom. That's a simple explanation. And Krishna also talks about different planes of existence. He speaks about the planes which are higher, the planes which are lower. He speaks about Bhu, Bhuvaha, Swaha, Maha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satya. So it ends with Satyaloka, which is Brahma's abode. And then when you go below, you also have all these planes of existence, which are in general called as Narak. So this is what is, when you say Narak, there are many levels of Narak. Just like that. When you say heaven, there are many levels of heaven. So total there are 14. But why are we talking about that? Why is Krishna talking about that? Krishna wants us to understand that although there are these many lokas, there are 7 levels of heaven also. But he says all of them are still bound by this cycle of birth and death. So even if you are reached all the way to Satyaloka, you may live a very long time, but even that is limited. You will again have to die and take birth, and that cycle will still continue. Very important lesson for us, because even Satyaloka is not totally free from misery. That is Krishna's message. That is why we have to aim to get union with Krishna and not just waste our time. So this is one of the reasons why Krishna said that you should respect the demigods, give them their due respect for sure. But if you run behind the demigods, it's okay, but you are going to reach the planet of those demigods. If that is your goal, go ahead. But what have you accomplished? You have probably accomplished some benefits which are going to be temporary again, and you are again going to come back to earth. You are again going to face birth and death. Okay, so that is why our goal should not be to get these short-term benefits or just some heaven. You should not want to go to heaven. You should want to go directly to Krishna, because that is the only way to get totally free from this cycle of birth and death. And how can we reach Krishna? The only way is bhakti, because through all other paths you can reach higher levels. But if you want to go beyond all these levels, if you want to totally be free from birth, death and that cycle, then only bhakti is going to take you there. That is why Krishna says bhakti is the most superior of all these paths. I hope all this makes sense. Okay. Would you all like a small story? Do you have time? Yes? Okay. So this is a story of Indra and how even Indra was reminded of his mortal nature. Okay. Because So this story is in the Puranas. They mention that, Indra had a big palace. So Indra's architect, his name was Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma is the divine architect, right? So Indra is asking him to build a huge palace for himself in Swargalok. But by the time Vishwakarma completes one aspect of it, Indra has more desires. Indra is like, make this part better, make this part bigger. it's never ending, and he is keeping Vishwakarma very busy. And Vishwakarma, the divine architect, he gets tired. He's like this. Indra's desires are never ending. He's never satisfied. So he prays to Vishnu. He says, Vishnu, help me. This Indra, he keeps on, making me build more and more and more and more. He never seems satisfied. Can you please help me? I'm very tired. So Vishnu smiles, and of course, it's an opportunity for Vishnu to play another Leela. So he's visiting Indra, and he says, wow, what a huge palace you have built here. He says, so how many Vishwakarmas did you employ to get this palace done? And Indra was very surprised. Indra is like, what kind of a question is this? What do you mean, how many Vishwakarmas? I mean, he's a Vishwakarma, so he's supposed to be only one, right, in the universe. So why do you ask me how many Vishwakarmas? So Vishnu smiles and he says, Indra, just like this universe with its 14 worlds, I have infinite such universes, which you may not be aware. This is not the only universe. In other words, I have many Vishwas and many Vishwakarmas. And he says that each of those universes also has its own Indra. And this is all news to Indra. Indra was not expecting this answer. And at that time, it is said Indra saw several ants walking toward him and in a queue. And then he's asking Vishnu, what is this Leela now? Where are these ants coming from? So Vishnu says, all these ants were Indras in their past lives. Okay. And I called them to meet you. I only called them here because Indra has never seen ants. There are no ants in heaven, apparently. But when Vishnu visited him, he invited these ants. So for Indra, it was a rare sight. He's like, where are those ants? What are those ants for? And he says, they were all Indras in the past birth. Soon after, a very great Rishi, his name was Rishi Lomesh, he visits Indra. Of course, this was all Vishnu's doing only. Vishnu made him come there. And he was carrying a mat on his head. And he had a circle of hair on his chest. But then there were gaps in that hair, in the chest. It was very visible. So Indra respectfully receives him, and then he is politely asking, why are you carrying a mat on your head? And what does that design on your chest mean? Because I see hair, but I also see gaps. And what is all this? So the Rishi Lomesh says, I am blessed with the boon, Indra. I am blessed with the boon to be a Chirayu. Chirayu means I am truly immortal. And I have truly endless life. And the hair on my chest, it signifies the life in this universe. He says, whenever the tenure of one Indra ends, one hair falls. So you can see so many hairs have already fallen from my chest, Indra. Indra was astonished. And then the Rishi also adds, he says, I carry this mat on my head because during the day it is protecting me from the sun and rain. And at night I put it down and I sleep on it. My disciples say they want to build a permanent residence for me, but then I tell them, when life itself is temporary, why do you worry about building a permanent home for me? I am not permanent, so why should I have a permanent home? And Indra listens to this and his pride is all shattered at this point. And he's thinking to himself, what am I doing? I am going on building this huge palace. I am troubling that poor Vishwakarma to keep building more and more, whereas apparently even I am temporary. Looks like even I'm going to become an ant very soon. So what am I doing? What have I been doing? So the moral of the story is clear. No matter which planet we are on, there will be misery. There will be life and death. Even if you become the king of gods, you are still limited. You will still die. Okay. So the only way to get out of this cycle is union with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, union with Krishna. And the beauty is that can happen only through earth, only through a human form. That is what is documented. So we are all fortunate, we are all extremely privileged that we got that opportunity, we got that body. But what a colossal waste if we take that body and waste it on, say, enjoyment and pleasures, and it's beating the whole point of why we got a human body. And sometimes I have this aha moment. I'm driving to work or traveling to work, and at least in India it used to happen. In India we have so many troubling thoughts in our mind. Traffic hai, wo hai, bijli nahi, pani nahi, office people are bad in office, and all of those things. And then I see those animals and the dogs running around, and I tell myself, they call them stray dogs, but they look happier than me. They look carefree, they look happy. Look at that dog, look at that crow, look at that sparrow. They're all looking happier. But then that is the whole point. If you want enjoyment, you could rather be an animal, because animals actually have true enjoyment. They really don't understand anxiety. They don't understand fear. They are actually enjoying all the time. So if that is your goal, you could as well be an animal. Now, if you're a human, there is a much bigger purpose to that. And let us understand that, and let us make the most of this human body that we have. So this is pretty much what I wanted to cover. There are a few more technicalities that I have documented. You can read the notes. I've just given some calculations on, so when we speak about Indra, how much is Indra's life generally? When we speak about, yugas, like the Kali Yuga means 400,000 years, 432,000 years, Dwapara Yuga is how much, and all of that. They're all technical. If you really want, you can go read the notes. They will feed some of your curiosity. That's pretty much it. So I think with that, I will stop talking. I hope the teachings are helpful to you. I hope you are able to use these to transform your lives. So Hare Krishna. If you have any questions or any comments, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Ultimately, we should not aim for Swargaloka. We should aim for oneness with Krishna.
Correct.
That is the one. I understand.
Correct. It is like saying, I don't want to be in the prison in India. It is very bad. Put me in the prison in USA. Because there they have air condition and they have better food. But isn't that foolish? I mean, you are still in a prison. So what you actually need to ask is, give me freedom. That is, so Swargaloka is a much better prison. It's more luxurious and all of that, but we need to ultimately ask for total freedom. Somebody said, it's a very profound statement. Somebody said that the worst prison is the one that we carry with us everywhere. Think about it. It's a totally very deep thought. We bind ourselves. We are responsible for our own bondage. Our fears, our anxieties, our limited thoughts. They are our own prison, and we carry it everywhere. Portable prison. So, yeah. I hope this was not information overload. I hope this much was manageable for today. Okay then, Hare Krishna. Thank you everybody. See you all in the next session. And in the next session, we will continue with Bhakti Yoga.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.